Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Venom deck. So, just a disclaimer before I go over the cards. This deck is probably one of my fun decks. It's not really that competitive. There are a few limitations on Venom decks that I think keep them from being too competitive. They just don't have enough monsters. They are very reliant on their field card. So I think they can be a fun deck. I don't think they're very competitive. The only real way to make them very competitive, I think, is to focus on the boss monsters and use them in combination with other decks. So I might do that in the future, but this deck is just a full Venom deck. The other combos are like aliens and reptiles and stuff, so I won't go over too much of that, but just something to mention if you want to make Venoms work on a more competitive level. So because of the limitations on monsters, it's pretty obvious you're going to want to run 3 of all the pretty much normal monsters that you're going to be using. Like Venom Cobra is really good for stalling. Venom Snake, obviously, to build up counters. Venom Serpent, also to build up counters. I didn't mention it. The basis of a Venom deck is to put Venom counters on your opponent's cards, and then they lose attack. And then eventually they can get destroyed. So building up counters is very nice. The important thing to understand is a lot of the Venom monsters are very weak in terms of attack. So those counters are very important. And then Venom Boa, he can also place counters. 1600 attack with for 5-star monster, so obviously that's a bit annoying, but being able to place 2 counters is like doing 1,000 attack worth of damage, so it could be very nice. And the boss monsters, so the Venom King and the Venom Deity, they have similar effects. They use the reptiles in the graveyard to power them up, so it's very important to get reptiles in your graveyard. They can also keep themselves, when they get destroyed, they can keep coming back, which is very nice. Deity is the really crazy one because it is almost invincible. It can't be destroyed. It can't be used. Effects can't be used on her. She could special summon herself, and when she does battle damage, she builds counters, and if you get 3 counters, you immediately win. So, like I said before, if you want to run the more competitive decks, you might focus on this card because it's very, very powerful. So for the spell cards, Venom Swamp, very, very important for this deck. Allowing you to build counters on your opponent very quickly. It's pretty insane how fast you get the counters up. If you can keep this card up, you're going to really, really annoy your opponent a lot. The real problem is keeping this card up. That's why I'm running 3 of them. Venom Shot can be very, very useful, allowing you to get reptiles to the graveyard and also build counters, which is very nice. So Solidarity is an easy choice for this deck because you'll be running all reptiles, so this can make up for the attack losses you have. So it can turn your snakes into beaters, and it could turn Venom Boa into a bit of a beater, and also power up your other Venom cards. So it could be useful in that respect. You don't have to run it if you want to focus on more snake and Venom related traps and spells, but still can be very useful. MST, Snake Rain, so very, very nice, allowing you to put reptiles in your graveyard. Usually the ones I'll choose will be Boa and maybe one Vennominon, depending on what I'm currently doing. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm also running 1 Terraforming. Again, the field card is very, very important. There's a lot of other support you can add in for the field cards, but it's currently the only one I'm using. Dark Hole, as far as the traps go, so Rise of the Snake Deity is the way you bring out Venom Deity. Because it's so powerful, they have to kind of put it behind needing a trap and all this stuff in order to bring it out. But the important thing is that you need to get your Venom King destroyed by an effect. So one of the ways I do it is with Limit Reverse. So Limit Reverse allows you to special summon Vennominon. It's very, very crazy what you can do. So if you could bring Vennominon and keep him out for a turn, you could switch him to defense mode and he'll immediately be destroyed, and then you can summon the Deity. So that's a very nice combo that will bring her out. Obviously, this has to be done a little bit later in the game, or you have to get Snake Rain or whatever, but it's still very, very powerful. And it's one of those easy ways to get him out, or her out. That's not relying on what your opponent's doing, which is very nice. So Ambush Fangs can also be very useful. Stalling can be very, very important. As well as building counters, of course, but stalling so you can keep your monsters out and build counters. That's one of the tricks of this deck. I'll talk about some of the other disadvantages, but keeping your monsters out can be trouble. Damage equals Reptile. Just a really great card, allowing you to special summon the snakes you need, and also an easy way to get out Vennominon, which is really nice. And then just staple traps. Nothing much to say there. So the extra deck is really not relevant for this deck. Even if you aren't running Solidarity, you're really not trying to get XYZs out. You're focusing on your monsters because they'll all get like debilitated by your Venom counters. So you have XYZs more so if you need them for specific situations. If you can't keep Venom Swamp out, so it doesn't matter that you're gonna, lose them, or you're not running Solidarity, or you're not worrying as much about Solidarity. There's a few different things you could do, but I have mostly staples like Zenmaines, Leviathan, Leviar, Utopia, Maestroke, all those guys. A couple 5-stars, just in the very rare chance that you can get 2 boas out. The only ones that are kind of special are King of the Feral Imps and Gagagigo. So King of the Feral Imps doesn't run in the way of Solidarity, but obviously he can still get hurt by Venom. He's just nice, so you can get a Venom card that you need in case you need one of these cards. Usually if you need Vennominon for something. Gagagigo is just another choice to bring out a high attack monster, but still very rare that you get this guy out. So as far as the side deck, for the side deck, it's just cards that I recommend for the actual main deck that you can also use. So Tyrant Neptune can be really interesting, allowing you to replace the cards that you're using and get the effects. It's a very interesting card that allows you to kind of go in the way of what your opponent's trying to do. Evil Dragon Anato is one of the ones that I've been seeing running a lot. I personally am not a big fan of running this, but I can see it's like a backup plan. It gives you another choice to bring out a powerful monster. The only problem is if you lose this monster, you're going to be in big trouble. That's why I don't like running it. You can also run another Vennominia or Vennominon, Vennominaga. I hate those names. But either way, you can run 3 of them if you want. I'm currently running 2. Reptilianne Naga is also a really interesting choice because it has 0 attack. It's not affected. It won't get destroyed by the Venom counters, and you can allow it to pile up Venom counters for Venom Burn, which I'll talk about. Foolish Burial is an alternative to Snake Rain. Viper's Rebirth allows you to special summon. Field Barrier, obviously, to keep Venom Swamp out. Trade in. It's nice to have some draw power. That's one of the things you could do because the annoying thing about this deck is there's not a lot of monsters that you can bring out right away. And some of the other support traps you can use is like Spell Reclamation to get Venom Swamp back, Snake Whistle to special summon, Damage Condenser, kind of like Damage equals Reptile, kind of the same kind of idea there. Offering to the Snake Deity is kind of like Icarus Attack, but also it's useful because it activates Rise of the Snake Deity, so that can be very nice. Venom Burn. So I was talking about that a little bit before. If you're using Naga, this is a way to do burn damage. If you want, you can focus more on this if you want, but it's up to you. This combos really well with this card, which is Metal Reflect Slime. So Metal Reflect Slime is a 3000 defense monster, obviously, but it is 0 attack, so you can let it build up counters like crazy and then use it for Venom Burn. So that's one of the interesting combos you can do. There's a lot of other things you could do in this deck. I'm just focusing on the kind of straight Venom, and not too much kind of the other stuff going on here. But you can see there's a lot of opportunities for mixing it up. Again, there's other combos you can do with aliens and reptilians and some of the other reptile archetypes like worms. I saw worms a lot. I might do one of those in the future, but for now it's just a straight Venom deck. Some of the disadvantages of a Venom deck are the limited number of monsters you can get out, the reliance on spells, the way low attack that they have. So the real problem is that Venom can get run over by a lot of different decks, and if someone locks down the graveyard, that's another really big problem for them, like Gravekeepers. So it can be very difficult against some other decks. I still really like this archetype. I like the idea behind it. I think it's really fun. I just still think it has a lot of trouble in the current meta. But if you have your own Venom deck, maybe that's better than mine, you can post below in the comments, give me suggestions, talk about how your deck works, maybe even tell me about the other combination decks that people have out there that I know a bit about. If you like this video, you can subscribe or hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more decks from me, there's a playlist in the description. It'll have a list of every single deck I've made so far. So if you want to check out other decks, you can take a look there. You can also follow me on Twitter. You can see my Twitter right there. If you want to get updates, you want to talk to me, tweet me, anything like that, you can use Twitter for that. But that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you later.